she's crushed him to nothing.
Can Prince Harry be saved? There are growing concerns from those close to both the royal family, from former friends of the Duke, and from even now figures in his world in Montecito, that Harry is being bullied into the point of oblivion, where all of the qualities that had previously made him a popular member of the British royal family are now actually turning to the point where it is making him an unbearable public presence. So is there anything Prince Harry can now do to save his reputation? And does he have it in him to leave Meghan Markle, who is, let's be honest, responsible for at least a significant part of his current misery? We're taking a big picture look at Prince Harry today with the woman who knows him best. Angela Levin is the biographer of Prince Harry, our royal mastermind. She, of course, spent all of that time with him during the transition period in his life just before and up until he met the Duchess of Delusion. Now, Angela Levin, what has been so difficult to watch this year for people who did used to love Prince Harry? I wasn't one of those people, I'm going to be honest. I've always thought he's had a lot of flaws and that he's quite a tricky customer, to put it mildly. But I know there are a lot of people who did love Harry. And what they've seen this year is a true physical decline, Angela. A physical decline where you can see the misery, the unhappiness, the weight on his shoulders, the fact that he is so desperate to return to the United Kingdom, but he can't admit it. The fact that he is struggling with his aging. And Angela, as someone who spent all of that time with him, do you think that this is salvageable, or is it too late?
Well, I never like to say that anything is too late to regard how you are, but I think it's in a very bad place. And I think he has to make changes and move and be very strong and brave. And then he can do things that will be very hard for him at first, and then will help him turn into a behaving man.
So do you think Meghan Markle has bullied this guy to a point where he has lost his sense of who he is?
Well, that's my opinion. I have to be careful what I say here, but yes, I think she's crushed him to nothing. And I feel that he was foolish. I think she did it the first time they met when she had Diana's favorite perfume all over her, and he thought that there was something coming from above, and gosh, how lucky he is. He felt that she could get in touch with his mother up there, and he felt that his mother would make sure that they were the best of friends. And Meghan has helped that all the time. And I think she keeps on going back to Diana to keep him feeling sad and unhappy. Whereas if you sort of try and move to the future, I think it's very different, like we see with William. I mean, Catherine has helped him know how to be a father because they had such a bad childhood, and how to be a husband. Whereas I don't think there's anything like that with Meghan. I mean, it's not helping him move on, it's helping him go backwards.
Angela, is there a degree of manipulation from her?
Yes, you have to do what she wants. You just have to. You can see that when anyone disagrees with her, they're out because she does think she's above everybody else. I think all this. She thinks she's an amazing woman that everyone should feel is beyond someone you'd ever known, and but she's not. But when Earth is down, she's down to Earth. Few times that she is, she messes everything up. If you look what has she done? She hasn't done anything really. It's a failure all through. But she's made it into a huge thing that's absolutely amazing. Whereas what has Harry done? He's done nothing, and he's just moaning and unhappy about it. He wants to come back to England. He wants to give lectures. He wants to become a comedian. None of these things are likely to happen because it's not him. But Meghan's is actually part of what she does. That's what she likes. She's always been like this. So nothing's going to change. But Harry has changed because he wasn't originally like this.
And Angela, you say that there are two key moments coming up next year as we look ahead to 2026 that will likely determine Harry's mental health outside of his marriage. The first is the health of King Charles. And we'll come to that because, of course, as soon as King Charles dies, Harry knows that a return to the UK and a return to royal life is cut off potentially forever. So we'll come to that. But first, Angela, because obviously we're just weeks away from this, his libel case against the Daily Mail. And you say his reputation is now hinging on this. But from all of the revelations before the court case even begins, it's looking almost impossible to believe that he's got any chance of winning this case. The case was lunacy. He was so clearly sucked in by a whole load of hard leftist lawyers and celebrities.
Yes. Well, this is a thing that he won't give up. He wants to still be thought of as a prince up to a certain extent, not necessarily working within the anywhere around, but actually in his thoughts that he's actually still a prince and still worth something. But it's a ridiculous way to behave. And the Mail has worked very hard to get things in straight. And one of the things that Harry did at one point was to offer money, I believe, I'm not entirely sure, he would give people to copy what he's doing and make a big statement and follow it up and try and get money out because of what has happened. That it is the Mail that was using your phones and doing behavior in a very bad way. But I mean, I worked for the Mail for a long time and never was I asked to, or never was I had the idea that we should do that. And I know one person at one time suggested we talk to one person, and the editor said, absolutely not, I'm not having anything like that. And he was furious, and nobody actually thought we had to behave in a bad way to do something.
100%. 100%. And the thing is, Angela, Harry lives in a fantasy world. And it's a world where he believes that all journalists, by the way, including you, including me, are these sort of disreputable criminals. And I remember he tried it on with me. Actually, so this was back when I was executive editor of The Sun. So we're talking 2019 type period. And remember, I'd broken a whole load of stories about him. This is before I actually broke the story of Megxit, I believe. Or no, actually, maybe it was just after. So maybe it was 2020. This must have all happened in 2020 because I'd broken the story of Megxit in January 2020. But of course, I'd broken a whole load of stories about him and his behavior and his wife's behavior and how much the late Queen hated it. And rather than him thinking, Angela, okay, this could have been down to my behavior, my wife's behavior, the fact that there were so many disgruntled people within the British royal family, so many courtiers, so many members of the royal family themselves who were so horrified by this behavior that they wanted it to become public. And obviously that's my job, right, to report the truth. Rather than think that, Angela, he made a fool of himself because he decided, oh, Dan Wootton was breaking the law. That's what he was doing. He must have been paying people for these stories. And actually, he must have been paying royal officials, and that would make it a crime. So I'm going to report this to the police. I'm going to report this to Kensington Palace. He was humiliated, Angela Levin. Totally humiliated. Now, in that case, he had sent a pre-action letter, but he never actually went through with obviously filing the claim because he would have lost. He would have lost. But what it shows you, Angela, is that he will try and hunt down his enemies and jail them. He's doing the same thing with Piers Morgan. He wants the Metropolitan Police to reopen their investigation into Piers Morgan and phone hacking while he was editor of the Daily Mirror. And obviously, there is a lot of thought that Piers Morgan has not told the truth when it comes to hacking. But come on, this is something that happened 30 years ago, Angela. People have already gone to jail. It's been long litigated. And I actually find it disgusting that a prince, a member of the royal family, would think that a good use of the British police's time at the moment, when, by the way, and Harry would have no idea about this because he doesn't know how we have to live, Angela. He's got no idea of what it's like to be an ordinary person. You know, all he cares about his security. Well, I'm mugged on the street in London because it's so lawless. The police don't do a damn thing. You know, my house is broken into. The police don't do a damn thing. Yet he wants the police to spend a whole load of time trying to get Piers Morgan jailed from something that went on 30 years ago. It's mentally deranged.
Yes, I think that this problem that he's got is that he doesn't like anyone saying anything that he doesn't want to hear. It's a very strange thing. He's very well known, and Meghan is as well, but he only wants what he allows them to say, which is good stuff. So if a journalist says, well, they were at some terrible film last night, so should they have gone to the film? I mean, that's a nonsense thing. Just say that. You know, he will go mad because he doesn't feel he wanted anyone to know about that. And I think that it goes up from the small things like that to the big things. He doesn't want any truth said about his wife. He doesn't want any truth said about him. If he's standing there giving a lecture, telling us what to do when he doesn't do it, he's okay as long as you don't mention that he doesn't do that. But he wants us to know that we shouldn't. You know, for children, he doesn't want them to listen to anything on the radio, on the television that might make them unhappy or be very bad for them. Okay, but Meghan's gone back and she's absolutely on all sorts of things, coming out, making comments, using it for herself, using her children to earn money. But he hates that. You see, how dare we? How dare we interfere with his life? But if he's a prince, then that's what happens. I think that it's very hard for people who are very well known to accept all that, but it's what you get if you are. Yeah, well, then you're very rude, aren't you? But if you are someone who can manage the press, then you're okay. But you have to see that we are difficult because we notice things and we get them written or write them, and people don't like it. But that's what we're there for, is news important.
Now, Angela, there is obviously, as you alluded to just then, this huge clash going on behind the scenes. And again, it's not something that the regime media report on, but Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are effectively at war in regards to social media and in regards to showing Archie and Lily, who, remember, remain in the line of succession, the British line of succession to the royal family, on social media. Now, we saw in February of this year, Angela, Meghan in a fit of pique, in a way to upset Harry while he was at the Invictus Games, reveal the children while pushing her shitty jam, mind my French, for the first time on social media. That was in February, and it was when she'd been sent home from the Invictus Games. But of course, it continued all year long, Angela, and it continued all year long to that moment in Halloween on the pumpkin patch when Meghan said, "Oh, I accidentally showed their faces." But Angela, look at all of this. I mean, you can easily add it all up, and then Harry goes on a podcast and actually says, "I think parents are irresponsible if they put their children on social media whatsoever." So he's so terrified of this woman, as you've rightly pointed out. He has to wage these battles against her in public. But what's going to happen this year, Angela? Because she is heading towards revealing them all. It's obviously ludicrous, by the way, that that two children who are in the line of succession, who remain a prince and princess of the United Kingdom, which is nuts on a whole load of levels, by the way. It's nuts because we don't actually know if she gave birth to these children. It's nuts because we don't even know for sure the mother and father of these children. It's nuts because these children have never set foot in the United Kingdom at a time where they would actually remember it. They haven't spent any time that they would remember with the king, and yet they remain in our line of succession. So that's nuts as well. But is she going to win this battle this year? Or is Harry digging his heels in so significantly on this?
Well, I think it's difficult to say whether she's going to win, but I think a lot of it will depend on if the king stays alive. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get them to England if William takes over, because he's not going to have anything of it, and they don't know anything about the royal family and what their lives could be like. And so I don't think he's going to let them in at all. But I think even if Harry wins this protection, that how is he going to have children around when you, if they go out for outings, how are you going to cover their faces so people don't see? I mean, are they going to be not seen at all? In which case, he doesn't need protection. I mean, it's a ridiculous thing. Meghan's saying she doesn't want to come to the United States, to UK, but she will want to, because she wants to sort of dance around thinking how clever they are. But I think that if she doesn't listen to him and she does one great thing, I am showing you my children, I'm going to introduce you to my wonderful children, I think Harry will be cross, but he'll take it, because she's done this all the way through that he doesn't want. And it's ridiculous now if he stops it, because they'll be going to proper schools, and they're going to just stay at home, so they won't have any friends. You have to think, I mean, a child of 2 and 3 can be at home and just have a little friend, and that's it. But, you have to go to school, you have to be seen. Does she want them in a corner or a mask? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So I think it's a mess, but I think he will give in for her, because he always does.
But Angela, you also think that he might spend more time in Africa. And you remember this year when things got really bad between him and Meghan Markle, he actually disappeared. He went totally off grid, wasn't communicating with Meghan at all. And I believe at some point he actually told you that he would really like to live in Africa.
Yeah, before he got married, he was saying to me that he's fed up being one of the royals, and he doesn't want people to look at him. And if he goes to buy food, he has to go behind the counters. What he really wants is to go to Africa, because then he loves the animals. They're not difficult to talk to, and that's where he feels most comfortable. And he asked Meghan if she would like to go and stay there for a while. Oh no, not at all. So that was out. But he does, particularly if they're
Yeah, Angela, she cosplayed Loving Africa before she got married. That was the thing. Oh, no, I love to go camping in Africa. And, I don't want to take any designer clothes with me. She cosplayed someone who was going to be like Chelsea Davy, right? So Harry thought that he was marrying a woman who would love to live in Africa. And of course, as soon as she was in the royal family and these proposals were put to them, you could spend half the year in Africa, you could spend half the year in the United Kingdom. You're completely right. She said, hell no, because it was just fake. It was totally fake.
Yes, of course it was, but let me say it even worse. I mean, they met on one day, and 2 days later, I believe, they went off to Africa to look at the stars. Well, what sort of woman would do that so quickly? Couldn't you tell that there was something very odd to do that? When he was a prince, what did you want out of it? Not a clever thing to do. He should have run off a mile, but there he was trapped.
And Angela, you do have concerns that if things continue to go so badly wrong, Harry, who obviously has admitted a lot of illegal drug use and definitely has an addictive personality, And I think for me, probably the most shocking moment of the year was when we saw Harry just wandering around a street in the United Kingdom, wired, knocking on a random person's house with a phone in his hand, no security whatsoever. God knows what he was looking for. But Angela, you have serious concerns that he could turn back to drowning his sorrows, to self-medicating, as people put it, Angela.
Well, I don't know what else he can do. Where can he run to? He won't want to run to London, to the royal family, because he knows that they were right and he was wrong to choose her. She can't run to William. He apparently doesn't have many friends in America or even in the UK anymore. I don't know how he would manage it, because it would be that's something that is really, really wrong, and it was his fault, and he should have known about it, and he didn't. And I don't know how anybody can take that in an easy, calm way, that he's likely to take something to help him cope. And he will need attention, I think. I don't think he's going to go, yippee, hooray, I've done it now and I'm free. I don't think it's going to be like that, is it? It's going to be crying and unhappiness and feeling of terrible failure. And will he get the children?
Will he get the children? Well, that, of course, Angela, is where she's got him. Because regardless of what happens in their marriage, he ain't taking those children away from California. And that's why he's going to work so hard to make this failing marriage, this unhappy marriage. Angela, I'm going to go as far to say this toxic, bullying marriage, he's going to keep trying to make it work, because, it's the children, it's the fact that he tried to prove to all of us that we were wrong and he was right, and actually he can't bear the fact that his brother was right and he was wrong, and so she's got him. She's got him over a goddamn barrel.
You see, I think what they're doing now, they're much more separated, aren't they?
Oh,
So
yeah.
if they have a lot
Separate
of
lives, separate professional
they
lives,
go
separate personal
separately,
lives.
and so they don't really screaming and shouting, but actually he's not going to see the children very much anyway. So I don't think they're going to sit down and work out a plan where, each one has the child for a week or a weekend or something like that. It's going to be mainly Meghan with her staff, and he will still want to see them and will be allowed to at various occasions. I mean, I think, is the only way it can be done. But what a terrible position to be in.
It is a terrible mess. It is an absolutely terrible mess. But Angela Levin, thank you for your amazing coverage of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry across 2025. Of course, you did spend all of those years with him. You were his biographer, and you have been all across the story ever since. But Angela, I'm going to have to ask you to put your thinking cap on now, because next week, it's actually our last show of 2025. And I want us to reveal next week, Angela, the second annual Angela Levin Royal Mastermind Awards of 2025, Angela. So it will be the best moments, the worst moments, the most shocking moments, the moments that stunned us, that surprised us. And of course, Angela, I'll also get you to reveal the best royal and the worst royal of 2025. Now, last year, your winner was Queen Camilla and your loser was Prince Andrew. But Angela, he's not even eligible this year, actually, because he's no longer a prince. He's Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. So get thinking, Angela. But I mean, look, there's no shortage of anything of any stories for you to choose from this year, is there?
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Amazing stuff. Well, look, Angela, have a brilliant Christmas. Have an amazing day. I hope you get all of the joy from your loving family and your wonderful husband, who is a very great man. And we will speak next week after Christmas Day, Angela, to unveil the Royal Mastermind Awards of 2025. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Looking very Christmassy too, by the way, in your rant.
Former England footballer Andy Carroll is facing the possibility of a prison sentence after being charged with breaching a non-molestation order. The ex-Newcastle and Liverpool striker is due to appear in court next week, although specific details of the case cannot be made public for legal reasons. Carroll was arrested earlier this year, with the alleged breach said to have taken place the month before. He was detained shortly after arriving in the United Kingdom from France, following an incident at an airport that attracted attention from other passengers. At the time, his name could not be reported, but police have now confirmed his identity. Essex police said a man had been charged with breaching a non-molestation order and confirmed Carroll had been arrested and later charged. He is expected to attend magistrates' court to answer the allegation. A non-molestation order is a civil court injunction designed to protect an individual by preventing unwanted contact or proximity. Breaching such an order can result in criminal charges and may carry a custodial sentence, depending on the circumstances. Carroll enjoyed a high-profile football career, playing for several top clubs and representing England at international level. He earned significant sums during his time in the Premier League and later returned to English football after a spell playing overseas. The striker married reality television star Billy Mucklow, but the couple later announced their separation. They share children together, while Carroll also has children from a previous relationship. He is currently in a relationship with hairstylist Lou Teasdale. The case is ongoing, and Carroll has not commented publicly on the charge.